Hello, it is Wesley here again, and this is video number 3 on Toronto Metropolitan University. Today we're going to be talking about when they send your acceptances and the steps to follow after you get an acceptance from Toronto Metropolitan. And so this is part 3 of a 4-part video series on Toronto Metropolitan University, and as well, this is a part of our Ultimate University Guide series where we take a look at Canada's top 20 schools and we give you some tips and tricks about how to get in and the application process and so on. Now, before we start, make sure you like and subscribe, and also make sure you also ring our notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with our latest content. So let's get right into it right now with part number 1, which is early and normal applications. Early and normal applications. Make sure your program is still accepting applications before you apply. Kind of common sense, I like to think. And then complete your application as early as possible. That way you get an early acceptance as well. And in terms of when you will hear back, well, admissions decisions are based on the information that Toronto Metropolitan has available at the time they review your application. And so what this means is that your application will be processed and assessed subject to admission and selection criteria. And also the availability of space is also considered when your material is received. So there are a variety of factors that influence your admissions decision. It's not just the grades you have alone. It's also, the criteria they have that year and how much space is available. And in terms of what type of applicants get what type of acceptance dates, if you are a current Ontario secondary school applicant, the majority of the decisions for these people are going to be between February and the end of May. All admissions decisions will be on your applicant portal. If you are not from Ontario, so basically all other applicants, decisions are posted onto your applicant portal on ongoing basis. But typically, most of your decisions will be made for viewing between around the February to late June. There's not really a set date, so just keep that in mind. In terms of factors depending on your program that might influence when your acceptance comes out, you do have to keep in mind, first of all, that space at Toronto Metropolitan is quite limited, and so admission standards may often exceed the noted minimums. And what this means is that even though you meet the required averages or the required grades, it doesn't necessarily guarantee admittance, because the required overall averages and subject-specific grade requirements are determined basically on a basis of competition. And if you want a complete list of these programs and the requirements, please do go ahead to their website and visit the programs page. And there's also at Ryerson kind of two groups of programs, I would say, that they kind of determine your application on. And they have grades only programs and grades plus programs. So I'll be talking about both of them right now. Basically, grades only selected programs only consider your admission on the basis of academic achievement. And so having additional non-academic criteria is not required for admission consideration. So in short, only your grades matter for these courses or for these programs. And, when they are making their offers, they will base them off the best 3 to 6 grade 12 URM courses, whether they be your final or your midterm grades. Applicants must also complete or be registered in all the specific subject prerequisites at the time of the review for their application. Now, you also have to keep in mind that once you get your offer of admission, it will stipulate the final overall average and subject prerequisite results that must be maintained. So even though you have a high average now, if it dips back below the requirements after your acceptance, you may get your offer rescinded. So keep that in mind. And so their policy is that all admissions requirements must be completed by June 30. And students who are not selected to admissions for a grades-only program will be notified on an ongoing basis. The second type of program are called grades plus programs, and these also consider non-academic criteria or factors such as interviews, auditions, essays, and portfolios in the selection process, on top of also considering the academic achievement that you have. And so you have to keep in mind that students who have satisfied the selection criteria of a grades plus program may receive a conditional offer of acceptance, which will outline the conditions for a full acceptance. And so as with grades only programs, all admissions requirements must be completed by June 30, and those who are not selected for Admission on a Grades Plus program will be notified on an ongoing basis, but rejections start being sent out in May. Also, some tips regarding fall admission, and it's that February the 1st is the guaranteed consideration date for applications to all programs, whether they be Grades Plus or grade onlys. And what this means is that completed applications and amendments received by this date receive equal consideration. You also have to keep in mind that if you are applying to a Grades Plus program, that the deadline date to submit non-academic programs or non-academic requirements varies depending on your program. So visit academic programs and select a program of interest on their website, and then take a look there for specific instructions. It is important that you do not submit non-academic material until you've submitted your general application for admission and access the application portal. All right, now let's talk about the 7 steps that you should complete before admission. So, step number 1 is obviously to ensure your application is complete. Your official application needs to be accurate and completed. And if there is a time frame where you are registered at a post-secondary institution for one course or more, regardless of its relevancy to your application, you do have to ensure that your official application includes this information and that a transcript is submitted. All applicants, except for current Ontario secondary school students who use the OUAC 101 application, do have to also include a list of all non-academic activities from year to year from the beginning of secondary school to your expected start date at Ryerson, whether this be employment, volunteer work, or travel on their applications. If there are any timeframes where you did not participate in any activities and did not attend school, you need to indicate no activities in the section. And if you are applying for readmission to a Toronto Metropolitan program, you also have to include an outline of your activities since you were last enrolled at Toronto Metropolitan and submit updated academic transcripts as applicable. Step number 2 is to fill out the activation form to activate your online identity. The online identity is called Ryerson Online Identity, which is kind of confusing since the school is called Toronto Metropolitan. Basically used to be called Ryerson. They changed the name, but for some reason the name of the online identity thing hasn't been changed yet, so that's why I'm going to be using the terms Ryerson and Toronto Metropolitan kind of interchangeably throughout the video. But anyways, when you are asked for your student or applicant ID, enter your 9-digit student number, which is located in your application acknowledgement email, and remember to keep a record of your username and your password. Your Ryerson online identity is activated after or within 24 hours. Step number 3 is to check your student portal often. And so it is your responsibility to read all of the letters that they post, that Toronto Metropolitan posts to the My Communications page, which is on the applicant portal. It is also your responsibility to track your application status in the My Application Status page on the portal. And so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the portal. So there's the My Communications section, which is where there are personalized letters which include important information about your application status and requirements. What I would do is I would carefully review and follow up with these letters if required. Admissions decisions, including the official offer of admission, will appear in this section. And you have to keep in mind that Ryerson or Toronto Metropolitan does not send admissions decisions by mail. International applicants can view and print the official offer of admission and letter of acceptance for international students required for visa applications from this page as well. The other page that you will find is My Application Status, and this will be listed under the program name. Generally, it's going to say applications for the program are under review, which appears until an admission decision is made or until you cancel your application. Once a decision is made on your application, they will be updating this application status. Email notifications can be sent to notify you of new documents in your My Communications page, which is accessed through the applicant portal. The portal is updated nightly, but it can take up to 7 to 10 business days for any submitted documents to be processed and reflected. What I would do is I would allow 48 hours from the time that my admission decision appears in my applicant portal for it to be reflected on my OUAC application. Step number 4, submit your documents. So ensure that the following items are submitted as applicable. your academic transcripts, supplementary forms, which are needed for current Ontario secondary school students using the OUAC 101 application form, your supporting documents where you submit personal or confidential information, proof of name change, or other information as applicable, your non-academic requirements, which help you determine and so make sure you determine if you are required to submit these materials, such as a portfolio and essay on addition, on how to do so. Make sure you check your program page for information on that. And lastly, your proof of English language proficiency. So if necessary, you do have to provide a English language proficiency test score, if applicable. Step number 5, maintain your email. So prevent important and time-sensitive email communications from being blocked by maintaining a personal, unique email account and editing or updating your spam filters. Add no reply email to your email contact list to ensure that you do not miss their emails. Step number 6 is to plan your finances. So Toronto Metropolitan offers a number of entrance scholarships and awards, as well as other forms of financial assistance. General form of advice for you if you're kind of struggling to pay off your tuition is to go for scholarships. Those are probably, in my opinion at least, the best way to help take off some of that financial burden off from tuition. If you are considering applying for scholarships or a little bit daunted by it, check out GrantMe's website, which will be linked in the description below. They have a variety of different services such as essay editing and scholarship matching. So if you're interested, do feel free to check that out after this video. And lastly, step 7 is to monitor your application. Now, admissions decisions are based on the information available when your application is reviewed. And so this means your application is subject to both admission criteria as well as available space whenever your material is received. All applicants are required to complete their admission requirements by June 30 unless otherwise stated in the offer of admission letter. This includes applicants given an early or conditional offer of admission, so make sure everything is completed by June 30. Alright, let's say you have finally received your offer of admission. Congratulations! Let's go over the 3 essential steps required for you to reserve your space at Toronto Metropolitan. Now, step number 1, accept your offer. So you can confirm your intentions to study at Toronto Metropolitan by the deadline stated in your offer letter. If you do not accept this offer of admission by the deadline date, your offer will expire. You also have to keep in mind that accepting an offer from one program or one university will not cancel pending applications to other programs or other universities. But you may only have one offer acceptance on file at a time. And so what this means is that you must first cancel previously accepted offers before you can accept another offer. In terms of how you can accept your offer, if you apply to Toronto Metropolitan through the Ontario University's Application Center or OUAC, you need to log into your OUAC account to accept your offer. Once you have successfully accepted your offer, you will immediately receive a single confirmation number. If you do not receive this confirmation number, your changes and responses were not saved, you need to try again. After submitting your response to the OUAC, you are going to be locked out of your account for 1 to 3 business days. We recommend that you log into your account after that time to ensure that your application has actually been received. Your applicant portal for Toronto Metropolitan will also be updated with an accepted status within 2 business days if the confirmation of your offer was successful. If you applied to Toronto Metropolitan using a Toronto Metropolitan application form or another form that was not the OUAC, you do have to confirm your offer of admission through RAMSS. So simply go to my.ryerson.ca and select the RAMSS tab. Your offer of admission will show up in the admissions section. Click on accept or decline for the offer you want to accept and click accept admission and then confirm admission. You can also view the RAMSS support page for detailed instructions as well if you need them, but most people will be applying through OUAC. Step 2 is to pay your tuition deposit, and so tuition deposit payments open up on May 15 and the deadline is June 8, or whatever date is stipulated within your offer of admission letter, if it's different, that is. In terms of the tuition deposit amount for all undergraduate programs, with the exception of law, it is $600 for a full-time undergraduate program, and it is $200 for a part-time undergraduate program. Do note that if you are applying to live in residence, there is a $50 residence application fee that must also be made in addition to your tuition deposit. In terms of how to pay your deposit, just pay with a Canadian bank account. So access your financial institution's online bill paying option, or advise your bank representative that you need to pay a bill. You can add Toronto Metropolitan University or Toronto Metropolitan University tuition and res fees as a payee. Your 9-digit student number, which is found on your offer of admission, is also your account number. And then you can also refer to the how to pay your fees section on their website for more additional information. Now, after you've completed these steps, you can check out the new students page to be ready for the start of class. That is everything I wanted to cover in today's video on Toronto Metropolitan and how to accept your offer of admission, what to do before, and what to do after. I hope this video was able to help you. In terms of additional resources that we have to support you, check out the other videos we have on different various universities, and as well, down in the link in the description, there is a scholarship eligibility quiz so that way you can figure out what Canadian universities you are eligible to apply for. That is it for today. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.